What's up everyone, Canuck here, and we are back on our tutorial course for another episode of Course Design 101. So in this episode, we are going to look at bunkers. Bunkers, again, can be a huge part of your course, but if you just kind of lay them down and just leave them there, they're not really going to look that good, and they're not really going to do much for your course. They're going to be more of an eyesore more than anything. So I'm going to show you guys how to effectively lay down bunkers. I'm going to show you how to add some depth to your bunkers, which some new designers tend to kind of skip, but it is a very important thing. And a few other little tips and tricks as well. So let's jump into it. So bunkers, they work just like laying green and fairway like we did in our other episodes. You're given the same menu option. You can lay them down using brushes or splines. Now with the greens and fairways, I showed you guys how to lay down using the new spline tool. Splines still work for bunkers, which I'll kind of show you here. So you can draw a little bunker like this. Maybe I just want like a basic circular bunker or something like that. All you have to do is close the path, fill the spline, and hey, you got a bunker. However, for me personally, I'm not a big fan of using the splines for bunkers. I just find I can get a few more unique shapes using brushes rather than splines. So I'm actually going to show you, so we've already been dealing with splines in greens and fairways, so I'm assuming you guys know how to use them by now. But I'm going to kind of show you more using a brush method, and you can do a whole bunch of different things with brushes and bunkers. So let's go into our bunker menu, and as you can see, we've got about 3 pages of brushes. We've got everything from very simple shapes here, your circles, your squares, kind of your bean shapes here, and then they get a little bit more crazier into here. These ones are really kind of wacky. And again, it all depends on what kind of course you are really going for. And also, just like laying down one of these shapes, if you just laid down a shape like this, that's fine. A couple fairway or bunkers here and there, that's fine. But I do kind of challenge people once they've had a little bit more experience. Try to do something more with that. Like maybe you can turn that into, maybe you can chain it with another shape. And then who knows what you're going to get. Something like that. Now all of a sudden that bunker looks a lot different. Now look at that. Very different looking bunker now. That's just 3 different shapes. Okay, so play around. I always kind of just play around, and sometimes what I get works, sometimes it doesn't. So just kind of be patient, play with it, and whatever looks good for you guys, have fun with it and go for it. A few things I will show you here how to manipulate this brush. So you can make it bigger and smaller. Obviously, I'm using the scale button. I can rotate it, spin it around. So I'm using my D-pad on my Xbox controller. I'm on PC, but using the Xbox controller. Assuming it works the same way with PS4. But another thing I can actually do is, if you look over on the screen, there's this thing that says Advanced Edit. And right now it's off, but I'm going to turn it on. Once I turn it on, I can now scale in the X-axis. So if I scale in the X-axis, it'll make it fatter or thinner. And then in the Z-axis, or Z-axis for my American friends, you can make it taller and skinnier. So again, that original shape, you can make really funky things like this. Okay, and then you can maybe turn it off, rotate it. Maybe you want a different shape. You can just chain them together, things like that. So experiment, see what you like, and go from there. So that's kind of how you lay shapes down. But what I want to kind of primarily talk about is depth of a bunker. So I'm just going to lay down something really basic to start. So let's just use, I keep having Advanced Edit on. There we go. Let's just start with kind of this basic U-shaped kind of bunker like this. So I'm just going to lay this guy down. And a lot of designers will say, or some beginner designers will be like, okay, that's all right. I'm going to go lay down another one. But you might not be done with this one necessarily. As you can, if you get down here, you can see, this bunker has a little bit of kind of depth to it. It goes a little bit below the surface, but we want to add a little bit more. So I'm going to show you how I add depth, and some other designers have different ways of doing this. I'm just going to show you my way. I don't think I'm terribly great at making these, but or at using depth, but I think I can get a pretty good job with some of these. So I'll show you the tool I use. I go into my landscape flatten, and again, just like I've showed you in the last few episodes, I'm going to go back to that little fuzzy brush again. Okay, so whoa, that was weird. So I just reset it to 0. I'm going to make it really small here. Okay, so as you can see, there's a little kind of blue thing hovering in my bunker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the height, and it depends on how deep you want the bunker, but for kind of basic greenside bunkers, I wouldn't go any more than about 4 or 5 inches. And then you can just kind of go along, click your way through your bunker, and just add some depth. Now, there used to be a way in TGC2 where you could actually just hold down the A button and drag through the bunker, which doesn't seem to be working as well as it did in TGC2. I don't know if that's something that's going to be addressed, but I used to use it all the time in TGC2, and it was a big time saver. But I've noticed here in this new designer, it's not really working. So keep an eye on that. Might start working hopefully in later patches. But yeah, for right now, I just kind of click one at a time and add some depth. So there, that looks a little bit deeper, right? And I also kind of go and look at the lip of the bunker too. So I might raise the lip a little bit. And I'll go around, and that just kind of raises the lip of the bunker. So it adds a little bit more definition, like that. Okay. So there is kind of a really basic bunker. Okay, and once I get into some more advanced tutorials a little bit later, I'll kind of show you how you maybe want to frame your bunkers a little bit better. But for now, we're just sticking with the basics, just how to lay down a bunker and how to add some depth to it. So again, experiment with different shapes. Use that advanced edit tool, and again, just that little fuzzy brush in landscape flatten can really help you add some definition to your bunker. This one's not. I could have done a bit better job on there, but you guys kind of get the idea of what I did. So just kind of play with it and go from there. So I was going to show you guys one more little trick before we go here. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter video, but with bunkers, especially on the kind of link style courses, you know, a lot of people want, like, thinking, well, maybe I'll put a bunker kind of like right in the middle of the fairway. You know, something like this, which you can absolutely do, and you know, add some depth to it, whatever. But if you look, it has that real thin layer of rough to it. Now, I don't know about you, but I would much rather prefer to have a bit thicker layer of rough around that. And unfortunately, if you lay down your fairways using splines, there's actually no way you can get that a bit heavier band of rough around there. It's a bit of a pain. Again, hoping that gets fixed in a later patch, but as of right now, you can't. But there is a workaround. If you do feel like there is a hole where you're going to want to do that, you're going to have to lay down your fairway using brushes instead of splines. So we didn't really cover how to do that, but let's go over to our fairway brushes. And again, there's a few issues with the designer that I've been noticing for spending a little bit of time with it. This is the way we used to lay fairway in TGC2 all the time. Basically, what you would do is you would basically chain shapes together and create a big fairway. So you might start with this shape. So I would lay down a fairway, and then I would hit B. I wouldn't move my cursor at all, and I would go back to my rough, brush, pick the same shape, and basically I would click it 4 or 5 times and it would create a nice even band of rough. However, what the game is doing right now is it's not giving the brush the same shape anymore, which makes this very difficult to do now. You kind of got to make it a bit bigger, kind of try to make it about the same height as it was, and then about 4 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, depends on how thick you want your rough. I might do a few more there. There we go. So then you get your nice little band of rough. Okay, so let's pretend we've got a little fairway here, and maybe we want to put a tiny little bunker, maybe right there, just for, I don't know, just to show you guys how to do this. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go into your Sculpt Land tool, and you need to flatten the area. Not sure why I'm showing you guys this now. This is a bit more of an advanced technique, but a lot of designers are curious on how this trick works, and it's hard to figure. It took me a while to figure out how to do it. So you flatten it first. It works only really good with like basic shapes, so like ovals, pot bunkers, things like that. I'm just going to use a circular bunker just to show you. I'm going to lay my bunker down. Maybe I'll put it there. And as you can see, it still gives that same kind of thin little layer of rough around there. I want it to be thicker than that. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to back out of the menu here, and I'm going to go all the way back into Sculpt Land. Remember we talked about brushes? I think we talked about the blue brushes versus the red brushes. I pretty much told you to always, hopefully I said this in earlier episodes, always use the landscape flatten and landscape raise. Only a few cases would you want to use the red brush. Well, this is one of these cases. So you're going to go to your Sculpt Flatten, and you're going to get your red brush. Use the same brush you made your bunker with. Make it a little bit bigger, kind of center it over. And then what you're going to do is you are going to drop, so you're going to lower that part all the way down until you see water, like that. Okay, then you're just going to press your place button. And then as you can see, you've created a big black hole, but all you need to do is press B to hit the back, and it should flatten everything back up. Now, I made a bit of a mistake here. I didn't quite center it, so as you can see, this part's a little bit thicker than that part. But as you can see, you're getting a lot thicker layer of rough than before, as compared to, for example, something like that. I mean, I don't know about you, but I prefer that thicker layer opposed to that. So anyway, for anyone's curious and wanting to do that, that's how you do it. So it's a bit of a workaround, but you can actually do it. Let's see, anything else we wanted to cover? I think we laid down our basic bunker. We did some depth. I showed you that little trick. Yeah, again, we're just doing a basic tutorials here, guys. So I am starting to do some more live course design tutorials on Twitch, where I start to get into a little bit more on the not only how I'm doing it, but why I'm doing certain things. And I will try to touch on that as I get into some more advanced tutorials once I finish this series. So anyway, that's all I want to talk to you guys about bunkers. In our next episode, we're going to look at how to place a tee box. So until then, I will see you later, and happy designing.